Welcome, welcome, Cloud9. For those of you that are comfortable turning on your cameras, please do. If not, no worries. Probably because you're just pouring champagne all over the place, is what I'm assuming. We'll give you guys a second to get situated. Okay, congratulations, Cloud9 White, on your three-peat at VCT Game Changers. I hope they give you all, like, I don't know, a portrait at the Cloud9 facility for being like the winningest team they've ever had or something. I'm not sure though. And hopefully maybe that'll transpire to their world's team. We'll see. Anyways, you guys know the drill. We are going to ask the press to raise their hands and ask questions, and we'll go for 15-20 minutes, and then you are free to go do homework or get drunk, whatever you'd like to do. So press, over to you. I'm gonna start the recording.
Recording in progress.
Let's go to Scott from Dot.
Hello, Scott with Dot. First of all, congratulations to everyone. Another dominant run, a three-peat. Congratulations. Last time we had one of these press conferences back in Game Changers 2, you guys said this was kind of like the summer of Cloud9. Everyone was off school, focused solely on Valorant. After what I would say can be considered a successful summer, what's next for you guys heading into next year?
I guess I can answer that since I said a lot of it. We are going to take a short break after this tournament because we were kind of preparing for it or whatever, and we are just going to use the off season to continue to grind and level up as much as possible. There's still going to be like monthly tournaments that a lot of like third-party TOs are going to be running that we're going to be participating in, but I mean, we have a lot more of improving that we have to do, so we're going to use this this time to do it.
Okay, let's go to Lynn at Run It Back.
I'd also like to extend my congrats on your 3P. So during the post-match interview, I believe Kat said it was one of the easiest game changers. I was just curious if you could kind of clarify on your thoughts about that and why you thought it was relatively easy.
I guess that it just honestly feels like, besides like maybe Shopify, like a lot of the teams just keep making roster changes and keep like staying at this like similar level while we're just like continuing to expand and grow as players. And you know, I think that we come out stronger every tournament while like these like teams are still like getting their foot in the door, honestly. But yeah, we've just grown a lot, and it shows.
All right, let's go to Rick at Checkpoint next.
Hey guys, congratulations. My question is more about women's Valorant as a whole. Something that we've kind of seen with the growth of men's Valorant was when Sentinels would win and win and win and win and win, people started checking out because it was almost like, oh, we know that they're going to win. Do you think that having almost like a women's super team is beneficial to having more people, or are you guys just waiting for somebody to really be able to step up and challenge you guys as a team?
I'm going to be honest, that's a really weird question. That's not really our concern. Like if more or less fans are going to watch our matches because we're winning or not, I don't know why we would care about that. I do know that what we care about is the players and the scene, and definitely our dominance is motivating other teams to continue working. And while Kat is 100% correct that a lot of these teams aren't improving, I think a lot of that is because they're trying to make roster changes for the goal of improving. And I think Shopify has shown some improvements, but yeah, your question overall, I genuinely just don't like or understand why it's relevant.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter for us because we're going to play in all the tournaments, right? Like we're not just only going to play in Game Changers or a Sakura Cup where it's only women's teams. Like our goal is to be up there with everyone else. Like that's our goal. So viewership doesn't matter. And like what matters is us beating these other teams and getting up there. That's our end goal.
Okay, let's go to Bonnie next.
Hi, everyone. First of all, congratulations on another great tournament. With regards to the match you just played, I'm just wondering, after you guys dropped Haven, can you talk us through like the process of, getting your mindset back into the game and like sort of readjusting?
That shit was a relief. All right, everybody else could talk.
Yeah. If anything, like Dream said, it was definitely a relief because honestly, after like a year of like not dropping a map, every tournament you play after that point, it's just like more surmounting pressure of like, oh, we can't drop a map. Oh, we can't drop a map. So honestly, when we did drop that map, it was kind of a relief, like Dream said, because it's like, okay, now we don't have that pressure to worry about anymore. Like where we are constantly playing not only to just win BO5s and BO3s, but to do them like flawlessly. And once that drops, we were just like all in the zone, to be honest. The pressure was just like lifted off of our shoulders. So it actually helped more than I think.
All right, let's go to Pedro next.
I mean, heading into the series, you guys had to watch Shopify defeat Dignitas in the lower bracket finals under tight circumstances. They had to overcome various overtimes to win the series and advance to play against you guys for a rematch. And so, heading into this series, what was your mindset in taking on Shopify in this rematch?
I think a lot of it, or at least some of it, was just like, hey, what did we do last time that worked really well? And like, where were our gaps? They're probably going to watch the VOD back and be like, okay, we got to do this now. We got to take control of like Garage, for example, on Haven, just because like it's our weakest spot. And we were just counting on some of that. And more or less going into this last game was all about how much pressure was on us. Like we knew going into this, we were going to win. And it was just a question of were we going to hard sweep them, or are we going to like trip on our own feet and cause mistakes? Because I don't think any of us felt like we were pressured to make mistakes, or they were pressuring us to make mistakes. It was all about we're causing ourselves to make mistakes because of all this pressure. So once we lost Haven and we went to Bind, like it was night and day from like a coach POV, from us watching and hearing the players. It was a different team. Like after that map, it was just over. I knew after the first 2 rounds, it was just over. Like they just lost.
To add to that, seeing like the lower bracket game and seeing how close the games were also gave us confidence, I feel like, going into this, because we compared to how well we played against Dignitas and we just kind of like sweep them, and seeing them struggle against them also gave us a lot of confidence as well going into today.
Let's go to Lynn, run it back.
So overall, it sounds like you had just confidence going into this series, but is there anything that Shopify Rebellion surprised you with during any of the matches today?
I can't think of anything in particular. Definitely dropping a map is surprising, but in terms of like in-game, like how it felt playing and in-game strategy and so on, it played pretty similar to what we were expecting.
Yeah, we knew everything they were gonna do. Even on Icebox, which we hadn't played them on, we watched a VOD from earlier in the tournament when they played Icebox, and they just did all the exact same things. So we were super prepared. Ascent was the only map that we didn't have any like idea how they would play. We figured they would play some sort of weird double duelist comp and try and have like Ori and Diana just carry and like play really pug like frag out style because it's their permaban, and we didn't know exactly what that would look like, but they played like a million other teams that we play in scrims every week, play on that map that have players that are a lot harder to take duels against. So we were very comfortable.
All right, let's go back to Scott.
It's clear and awesome that a goal for this team is to become more than just, the team winning all the women's tournaments. You guys have higher aspirations of competing in VCT next year, making deep runs at other open qualifier events. So after events like this, obviously, you guys win, you guys are hailed as this dominant team. But what are still areas of improvement that you guys feel need to address going forward? Is it getting used to the new map fracture when it gets added? Is it changing of agent comps, or whatever it needs to be?
I think for us, our macro, and when I mean by macro, our like overall like top-down game plan and how it looks like when we move around the map and how we take space or give up space, we got that down. We have the fundamentals, but now it just comes down to like individual micro stuff. So like, hey, you should be taking angles properly, or the way you're taking this fight is really bad for us, etc. And we've been focusing on that for like majority of this event, actually. So a lot of going into this event wasn't like, oh, let's come up with as many gimmick strats or pistol strats or gimmick OT rounds. It was a lot about focusing on individuals and making them elevated for this. So yeah, that we'll just keep focusing on that, to be honest, because it's been seeing a lot of improvement, especially in our confidence. Like we feel individually a person can clutch out very easily, even if like, I don't know, someone gets killed through a smoke randomly and we're like down 2. I have full confidence because people know how to bring that back, and you can't teach that.
Yeah, everyone on our team can 1v3.
I think a good example of that too, from like a viewer POV that you can see, is like up until I think it was upper finals, we on our Haven comp, we were running Phoenix pretty much. And obviously all of us here objectively think that Sky is the better agent, but we knew that we could get away with that and really just hone in and focus on like our micro and stuff like that. So that's like a direct example, as you can see, like in our run through this tournament, on how we approach that.
Totally thought Kat had a white claw in her hand for a second. We have time for 3 more questions. So Bonnie, you're first.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned that something that sets your team apart from the others is that, you're always improving. And I just kind of wanted to ask if you could expand on that and talk about what you think makes your team, a level above the other teams, apart from the fact that your roster has remained fairly stable, which is also a way of saying that this is your opportunity to gas yourselves up if you'd like.
So I think that Moon and I as staff like work really well together, and are good at like creating a system, making sure we constantly have goals that we're working on that are directed. We do like a lot of one-on-ones with the players so that we can like talk about specifically how to apply these goals. And like we put a lot of time and a lot of effort in, and I do think that we're like really good at making sure we always have a goal in mind or a purpose to the time that we're spending. But I also think a really, really big part of it is that I've worked with a lot of players in like a lot of games, right? And I really feel like this roster is a group of players where everyone is always willing to like put their ego to the side and do whatever it takes to get better, whether that is learning something new in game, learning a new agent, getting better at comms, being a better teammate, like outside, like getting over like weird personality clashes, putting stuff to the side. Everyone is just so unbelievably like single-mindedly dedicated to getting better every single day. And like Moon and I can put in as much work as is humanly possible, and it won't matter if the players don't have that attitude. And I've never worked with a group of players that are just so selfless in like wanting to improve, and it just makes all the difference.
All right, let's go back to Rick.
Valorant in the past year has really gone through many different changes. It feels like, just from the Astra meta to when Killjoy felt like it was everywhere. What is it in the future that you guys are hoping to see, if there are any changes to the meta, or is there something that you're hoping that will be introduced maybe to the game that you just really think will benefit the team overall?
I haven't really put a ton of thought into it. That's something I definitely need to think about, just because of like, for context, this tournament was actually run on a previous patch. So in our scrims the past week in between the qualifier and the tournament, we're already scrimming against like new meta and stuff like that. But obviously with this tournament being on old meta, it's a bit wonky. So we haven't really had like a lot of time to sit down and run new comps, because we've been forced to run our old comps to prep for this while playing against new comps that are objectively like countering a lot of what we already do. So personally haven't had a lot of time to think about that. But in terms of like meta right now, I don't know what I would want to see in the game in the future. But I know right now it does seem that a lot of teams have been experimenting with KO and seeing what he can bring to the team.
I just like when agents can have like individual agency or like playmaking, like the changes that they made to Sky that like made her get really relevant, where she can like play off of her own flashes. Like I think you should let Breach be able to play off of his own flashes too. Like that's a big reason why like Killjoy is good, right? Because she can play off of her turret, and why like Cypher wasn't as good for a while, because he can't play like to take space off of his cam. His cam is like only an info and like more of a defensive tool. So I just like the more agents they put in that let individual players shine and have their moments and be able to make plays is just that's the exciting part to watch about Valorant. That's the exciting part to coach about Valorant. I assume that's the exciting part to play about Valorant. So I just want to see more of that.
And our last question goes back to Jess.
Hey guys, this is my first time piping up in this one, so congratulations on your third win. It's very exciting. I apologize, my question's a little long, but you mentioned that teams weren't improving due to roster changes. C9 White has been around for the entire year, but recently there have been some new org-backed teams such as Version X and XSET. So I want to know, what do you think the competition landscape will look like next year when all of these teams have had time to settle down?
Personally, I think that all of the individual players and the teams as a whole will look a lot better, but I still think that we'll be on top just because we are still so much more dedicated and we already are like starting ahead. So I don't know. I think that the entire scene as a whole will look a lot better, but we'll still be on top.
Yeah, we were going into this thinking that two teams were going to be way ahead of everyone else, like mainly speaking TSM, because TSMs have had time with their staff for a very long time by now, and we were thinking like, oh hey, they're gonna smash all of their opponents and they're gonna be the ones in finals, but it was exactly the opposite. And I really think it comes down to an aspect that people aren't really focused on, is like the mental side of things, because I really feel like if your team booms, it's over. It doesn't matter how good you are, it doesn't matter how much time you've had to work with them. If you don't have experience playing in other tournaments and you don't have experience getting boomed and coming back from that, you're just gonna flop when it matters. And I pretty much saw that during this tournament. Like, so the only thing I have to say is I hope all these other teams do play in every tournament they get the chance in, or else you're gonna be the TSM of next Game Changer.
Yeah, we really thought that it was going to be like, Moon and I were talking and we're like, we got to make sure the players are like geared up. This could be like a hard one, you know, this could be one where it's going to be rough. And it was the easiest. Like the field has not been catching up the way that I would have hoped. So as far as predictions, I don't know, because I predicted that there would be improvements and I was totally wrong. So I have no idea what is going to happen during off season.
I do want to add too that teams don't even have to wait to get signed before playing in these tournaments and like getting boomed and getting that experience and failing. When I first started the team and we were all together before we got signed, there were no female tournaments at the time. We were only playing in open tournaments and we were getting smashed. It was so fun to learn, to improve for sure. But I will say we were getting smashed, and you know, we've improved so much, and you don't have to wait for that perfect opportunity or for the perfect roster or for when you feel like you have just amount of practice. Just go in, fail, win, whatever. Just go in. There's no waiting for this. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. Just go in and lose. Get the experience. That's really all that there is to it. If these teams want to improve, because even though we did see a couple of teams, there's like what, 3 Game Changers teams that have been participating in tournaments since then. It's what, TSM, Shopify, and like sometimes CLG. All these other teams really need to step up and like take this advice and heed it and play in these tournaments. I've been repeating myself for a year now. Just play in these tournaments.
Yeah, playing and thriving under pressure is a completely different skill to the rest of the game, and people need to get those reps in.
Plus, I want to cheer for these other female teams in these tournaments. I can't just be us to Shopify, right? I want to be like, I want to see Version X. I want to see all the girls because I want to be in the stream, hyping them up. I want to see them. I want to cheer for them.
Love it. And you love the C9 TSM spice. always happy to see that. Once again, for like the 8 billionth time, congratulations, Cloud9 White, on winning Game Changers 3, three-peating. Jazzy, you still have the coolest room of anyone. Kat, go enjoy your not
Thanks.
White Claw, even though
That's a Red Bull.
of course it's a Red Bull. It's a Red Bull with Cloud9 all over it. But it's great working with you guys. Thank you so much again for being so much fun. And we look forward to seeing you again next year.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.